Welcome to That's What She Said, where we'll spill the tea on women empowerment in the Great Lakes Bay region with your host, Christiana Malacara.
Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of That's What She Said with me, Christiana Malacara, on my favorite day of the week, That's What She Said Day. So I always start out by saying thank you. Thank you for taking the step in empowering yourself and just pouring into yourself, because we all need a little bit of that. Whatever day you listen to That's What She Said, if it is on a Saturday morning at 8 a.m. on WSGW 100.5 and 790, or the same radio station on Sunday evening at 6 o'clock, it's a good reset time, right? Or if you're watching and listening to this live on Facebook or YouTube, it is Thursday at 1:30. Another good reset time, or whenever you like, 24/7 on the many places that you can find That's What She Said with Christiana Malacara in podcast form. So all of that and more, you can follow our Facebook page and our Instagram. I'm working on the Instagram, trying to figure all those ins and outs, but yeah, find us on social media so that way you can tune in when it's best convenient for you. I want to say a few things. As you all know, by now, as we're leading closer to week 55 of That's What She Said, I wanted to say that I usually take notes. I carry a notebook with me. And actually, I have 3 notebooks, and it just depends on which one's on top that day. I grab that one, and that's the one I run with. And I write little things in it throughout my day. And if I don't have my notebook, I have a running notepad on my phone. And something that I had wrote down was the privilege of experiencing discomfort. And it's just one of those things that I thought, those 2 words are like oil and water, right? Privilege and discomfort. When we think of privilege, it's a situation where it's like, yes, I have this thing and I'm so happy to have this and it was easy to obtain. But then discomfort is, obviously it's the opposite of being comfortable. And being comfortable is a privilege. So why is it, Christiana? Why did you put these 2 words together? And being in this privileged situation, why do you have? Why is there discomfort? Why are these words together? So I was thinking in the terms of, if you have something and you are comfortable, to grow through that, you have to make yourself a little uncomfortable. I am sorry, ladies and gentlemen, you need to be able to keep going and keep growing. And to do that, it is uncomfortable. And then you find this nice little sweet spot and you're like, yes, I am so privileged to have this job, be in this relationship, have these extra funds to get this thing. But you know what? I need to keep going. I need to keep growing. And to do that, it might hurt a little bit. You might need to let go of that situation, let go of that person, let go of that thing that might be holding you back to keep growing. So as you move forward, as we all move forward in our week until the next That's What She Said day, think about that and ask, maybe reflect, ask yourself, but also ask a friend, am I in a situation where I am too comfortable, that I need to experience discomfort with this privilege that I am experiencing? Because sometimes you need to look at it through somebody else's lens. Sometimes it's leaning on a friend, a parent, a coworker, or just jotting things down in your notebook and then going back to it later and thinking, what was I thinking when I wrote that down? And ask yourself those questions this week. So I have a guest who first of all, she is a just, okay, so I'm short. I'm 5 feet tall. And we'll start there. So all the time I'm standing next to her, I'm like, oh my gosh, you're just so tall and beautiful. Well, then she opens her mouth and she's really super smart. And I'm just floored every time we have a conversation. So I'd like to introduce Miss Jesse Fletcher. Hi, Jesse.
Hello.
How are you doing today?
Fantastic. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you. I would like to say thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
We had exchanged emails for some time.
Mm-hmm.
Quite a while, actually. And this is why I say she's absolutely gorgeous, because in the signature of her email is a picture. It's a picture of you. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh gosh, she's so pretty. She's so happy. She's always so excited. And when we're sending emails back and forth, sometimes You send an email and you're like, oh my gosh, I got to read this email. But then at the bottom is a picture of Jesse. And I'm like, I love her. So how would the community know you?
Well, so I got to just tell you about this because you brought up the picture. The reason I put a picture at the bottom of my email and on my business cards is because my name is spelled like a man's name of Jesse, and I would get called Mr. all of the time. So I just figured why not? And I just thought it was really cool. And
It is.
if I can put a little dog picture with it, it's even better.
It is.
Yes.
It's great. I love
Sorry.
it. No, so that's a good point
Yeah.
because a while back, people would call me Chris,
Mhm.
and I'm like, well, yeah, you can, but now you don't know.
Right.
Good point.
Yeah.
So how would the community know you?
Yeah, sorry. So the community would know me through, I think, just honestly nonprofits. I have always been a part of nonprofits. If it were me working for them, volunteering in them, being on their boards, I think that's probably where most people would affiliate me with the community, is being a part of the Great Lakes Bay region. I've always been just very centered around helping others. And I used to work in Bay City and live in Bay City. I now live in Saginaw and work in Midland. So very regional with a lot of nonprofits. So I think that's probably majority of it.
So what do you do now?
Yeah, I am the executive director over at the Humane Society of Midland County. And I'm actually the first ever. We've never had an executive director in that spot. So it's a wonderful, wonderful place to be.
That's a big title. And
Yeah.
especially for someone who might have to invent a wheel.
Mm-hmm. Very much so.
So you did.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the organization has had wonderful board members throughout the years, and they've been a working board. So they've really stepped in and helped out with the organization for many years. But to be where we need to be within the organization and get us to a level of next level within the animal welfare industry and getting us a new building, they needed to hire someone that had a little bit more of that caliber and who could dedicate that full time. So I was very lucky and fortunate that they chose me.
You were that girl.
I was that girl.
So what made you apply for this job knowing that it hadn't existed before?
Well, so the job actually, when I applied for it, wasn't for the executive director position. It was for, I believe it was director of development and fundraising. And I was offered that position. And then it was 10 months later when they then offered me the executive director position. So that wasn't technically what I was applying for. And the reason that I applied for it, I was very happy and loved everything that I was doing with my previous employer. I was at United Way in Midland. Loved it, loved the people, loved the organization, loved my family within there. But I wanted to take next levels for me. I wanted another challenge. I wanted something that was able to take me to another level, personally, professionally, and comfy or not, it was a good decision.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this kind of, and I did not align this in any way, but was there discomfort when you moved into this new position?
Oh, 100%. Like huge. I don't have animal welfare experience. So it was very much going in and like, okay, this is imposter syndrome. Like I have no idea. What I do know is nonprofits. I know how to strategically run that stuff. To talk to people about animals, I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know what I'm going to do. How am I going to do it? And thankfully, I've been able to learn quite a bit. Definitely, I'm no professional when it comes to animal welfare, but that's why I have a team who that's what they do, is they work in animal welfare. They take care of our animals, our community pets. We've got a great vet. So very scary going into that position.
So two things right off the bat: imposter syndrome.
Mm-hmm.
That usually is something associated with like someone going into college. They might experience that, or someone taking on a new role. But you how long have you been in this role?
For the executive director role, just over a year, but I've been with the organization about 2.5.
So when did that imposter syndrome kind of settle in that you're just like, ugh, I don't know?
I think it honestly came in phases. It was different phases of the syndrome. Going in there, feeling a little overwhelmed in the animal welfare community. I think that was one type of syndrome. a feeling of the imposter syndrome. And then when you become the executive director and then you have to be the face of and needing to deal with the good, the bad, the ugly, all of that, I think there was then another layer. And I'm sure I'm going to go through even more, you know, as time progresses. I think that's just part of growth. And I think what we should be going through anyway is just being adults. So I look forward to it.
So I have
Scary.
I have to make a joke and say, I know we've all seen that meme where it's like, uh-oh, I got a big girl job and now people ask me questions.
Yes.
So that's where we're at here.
Yes. and before I could be like, oh, you know, I'm not sure, you know, let me check with someone. And now I'm like, oh, now I need to know these answers.
You're
And
the one that
I
they're
can
checking.
still say, like, let me check into it, but
Mhm.
I've definitely got to follow through a little bit more than I ever had to before.
I
Yeah.
love it.
Yeah.
So you said something here where imposter syndrome and being uncomfortable is part of growing up.
Mhm.
You are not a child. You
Yeah.
are, and you said growing up. So
Yeah.
you're still growing up?
Well, I mean,
You-
my
I
body
mean-
doesn't feel it, but no, I'm 43, but I feel like you're supposed to go through all of these things, and I feel like even if I were 80, I would still be needing to achieve and go for the different goals and growing up to be something different. So I feel like that's just part of what we're supposed to go through anyway,
Why? Why do you think that?
because it makes us better. Like, I strive to be better at everything I do. My husband would call me a perfectionist in some ways, and I don't want to be, but that is just who I am. I always want to be the best at everything that I do. So I just think that that's just part of me. And maybe it's not everyone. Maybe it is just me, but that's how I look at life.
That's interesting because you referred to you're referring to yourself as someone who's, you know, semi-perfectionist, right? You know, but you're also needing to rely on people who specialize in animal welfare.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you're like, that's not my forte. So how is it that you can depend heavily on someone but also be a perfectionist?
Ooh, that's a hard one. Having a lot of trust in the unknown, because I don't know, a lot of that kind of industry. It's having to trust the people who are in this industry, trust the people who are in the support system of this, and trust that they know what they're doing. And I'm very much one who is based on facts. So I'm going to question everything. I'm going to make sure that everything we're doing is based in facts and, you know, making sure we're compliant and all of those things. But it's tough for sure.
Yeah. Usually when people are like, a perfectionist, they don't know how to have fun. You're a lot of fun.
I think so.
I know so. Like,
Thank you.
You are very fun. So there's a lot of trust and balance and things that you have to essentially juggle. But do you think some of those things are a little harder as a woman being an executive director?
In what way? Like, explain just a little bit more.
Ooh,
See,
calling me
now
out, girl.
I'm calling you out
calling
now.
me out. The trust factor.
Okay.
We're an executive director. We need to rely on other people in our building, right? In their forte. Do you think being a woman factors into, the trust and communication? Like, has there ever been complications because of that?
I'm sure for some, yes, or for others, yes. I don't know if I've had to experience that in being a woman in the trust factor. And maybe that's being very fortunate that way. So I don't think that I've had to deal with anything like that. I will say that trust in general is something that I've had to deal with, I guess, kind of throughout my whole life. Woman or not, I think it's just something that I'm always skeptical. Yeah. When it comes to trust, always thinking that someone's, out to get me, hurt me, all of that stuff and make it challenging. So I don't think it's so much of it being a woman thing for me, but just kind of what I have going on in my life at that time.
Trust factor.
Yeah.
Just in general.
Just in general.
Have you ever done a trust fall?
I'm super clumsy, so, like, I don't like, I'm not kidding, I'm really clumsy. So
Daily.
doing the trust fall, like, I don't trust anyone to trust my fall because my fall would be me falling on my face already. So, yeah, no.
I love that. I love that. No, I remember doing a trust fall. I went to a summer camp in middle school, and you had to stand on like almost like a podium or something, like a little box. And they were like, okay, do you really trust who's behind you and all these things? And I'm like, I don't know. We're all 13, like we're all emotional little girls running around.
Yeah.
And sometimes I still have those moments where I'm just like, okay, I trust them and I trust myself. And I have to take that, leap of faith, but AKA falling backwards of faith.
Mhm.
And it's like this.
Yeah.
Right. But then they catch you.
Yeah.
Who's that person that catches you?
Ooh. I would say first and foremost, my husband. He is just fantastic. I think he's my person. So I think that he is the person who catches me when I fall. He's also the person that when I'm tripping, he catches me when I'm falling. But it's very much it's him, it's his family. He has 2 daughters, so I have stepkids, and they are my people. So I think it's very much the family that I was kind of invited to be a part of. So yeah.
When you said that right now, I swear, for those of you who are not watching this, the room just lit up. She started to glow with a little bit more joy here.
Thank you.
How your husband, and he has 2 kids.
Mhm.
And I mean, when you have to implement and when you are implemented into a family,
Mhm.
was there also an experience of imposter syndrome there?
Yes. And I think that that would always have been the case anyway, because I don't have kids. So I didn't know how to be a mom, always wanted to be a mom. So to come in and be in this kind of role, and granted, keep in mind that my stepdaughters, when I met them, were already adults and are, clearly still adults. So I didn't have to go through any of like probably the really tough times of them being a young age with bringing in someone new like me. So thankfully, it worked out well with the age. But yeah, imposter syndrome for sure. But I'll take that because if that means that I can be a small portion of anything role model to them in any motherly way, I always wanted to be a mom. So to be able to have any role at all, like I'm cool. I'll take that imposter syndrome for sure.
So what's your favorite role of being their mom?
Oh, I love giving them advice. And I think a lot of it is because I didn't have advice growing up. Like I didn't have anyone leading me, mentoring me, kind of giving me the how-tos. And they are very fortunate because they have amazing parents. My husband and his ex-wife are just absolutely fantastic people, partners, friends, parents. So they didn't need anyone like me to come in, but the fact that they welcome the advice that I give, I'm like, oh, yay. And I get excited because like I'll come home and be like, honey, I talked to her and I gave her advice. And it's super exciting for me, but it's something that fulfills me.
I can tell.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So all day. Okay. So for those of you who are just tuning in here in the last 3 minutes here, I'm going to break down Jesse Fletcher for you. She hangs out with animals all day. And then she gets to go home and she has a stellar husband and some stepkids that actually listen to her advice.
Well, I don't know if they like fully listen,
they take
but I
the
give
time.
it.
They take the time.
Yes.
So I had something. So in your life, who was someone when you were their age that caught you?
I didn't really have anyone. I would say my aunt, I was very close with. She was kind of like a second mom, but actually was mom. But I didn't have much of that.
Yeah.
I didn't have the connection with anyone. I would think based on kind of like how my childhood was and how I was raised and with the family, that there wasn't much of that. So huge reason on to why I am the way that I am and strive so hard for that, is I want to be that for other people, family or not.
And it sounds like through your role as executive director, and then in your home life, you are a role model. Like, I mean, I'm just thinking with being a role model for other women,
Mm-hmm.
was there, other than your aunt, was there someone else in your life who was a female role model, either now or then?
I can't think of anyone specifically for then.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe there was, it's just not clicking for anything that I hold deep for the then part. I would say now I have plenty in my now of role models, and honestly, I feel like every person I am a part of, associated with, in my life of some sort, have some sort of capacity of being a role model or something to me, and it's because they're in my life and I choose to have them in my life. So they all have little bits and pieces of that, and that's what continues to push me to be that person moving forward.
Okay, so there's a couple things running through my head right now, but we're within our last few seconds of our first segment. So for those of you who are gonna stay tuned, because I got a lot of good questions here on my worksheet. We're sitting down with Jesse Fletcher, and you were listening to That's What She Said. So stay tuned. We will be right back to spill more tea on women empowerment.
That's What She Said with Christiana Malacara is back. Now let's spill the tea.
Hi, all. Hi, all. It's Christiana Malacara, but That's What She Said. Sorry, I missed the cue. Jonathan is a phenomenal producer, and I missed his cue. Okay, we're all human. And I am here with Jesse Fletcher, and she was just telling us about what she does out in the community, and she's very community driven. And we were also touching on a few things of having a role model and a lack of a role model, which is quite interesting because we really haven't discussed that on That's What She Said. Actually, I don't know at all. So women that I come across that are saying, yes, this is what we're doing. This is, empowering. We're empowering women. We're empowering, period. They usually have like some little seed that was planted. So, Jesse, thank you for coming on. That's What She Said. I appreciate that.
Absolutely.
So for you, in the last segment, we were discussing the lack of, right?
Mm-hmm.
In growing up in your childhood, and we didn't really put an age on that, but the lack of a role model, specifically a female role model.
Mm-hmm.
What did that do for you growing up as a teen? Because I know the teen years are, oh man, tough stuff.
Yeah.
What did that do for you?
I think that it made me be the role model for myself. I knew at a young age that I wanted to be different than how I was raised, have the capacity to care a little bit more than what was being cared for me. So for me, going through those teen years, I knew that I wanted to be different and make better choices for myself. So I looked at it as, if I don't have someone as that role model, then that's on me, because I should be in charge of that. If no one else is going to do it, then it's on me. So I made the decisions at a fairly young age, and I don't know if it was right or wrong at the time. I feel like it's worked out well for me now. Struggled, of course, but I had to be the one to make the changes because no one else was doing it for me. And I feel like others who might be in a situation like that, it's a lot of having that self-confidence. But yeah.
So when you're talking about the changes that you had to make for yourself, are you saying that you had to become your own role model, or you had to find role models to mimic?
I became my own. I basically became what I was hoping that someone would have given me, and became what I needed for myself. I guess internally it was a defense coping mechanism. And I looked at it as, if I can make these changes and better myself and better my life and better my future, then that's something that I want to be then later for someone who might be in the same situation as I was as a kid.
So we always talk about having a moral compass, right? And usually these things are taught to us, this is right, this is wrong, this is cause, this is effect. And, growing up and saying, I necessarily wasn't taught these things. Who taught you how to be such an amazing woman? I mean,
Well, thank you.
I
appreciate that.
You're saying you are your own role model
Mm-hmm.
for several years.
Mm-hmm.
But was there something that helped you?
Yeah, I think that there was a time in my teen years that I was living at a friend's house for pretty much all of high school. I would maybe go home to my home like maybe once a week, but I was pretty much living at her home, and I'm very thankful that that family took me in. But it was a grandma that really showed me a different kind of love. So I think that that may have been something that made me strive to want to be that, because that was something that I could see in her. Plus, she also had really good fashion sense, so like that was also a positive. But yeah, I mean, I didn't have much of that growing up, and I think that probably was what I had as more of a consistent.
Mm-hmm. So now, how is it that you are pouring into other women and being that role model for them?
I think just showing up, I think, is a huge thing for me. I try to stay busy and be community oriented, community active, but also learning to say no sometimes and taking some time out for myself. But I have spent a lot of years where I was helping some other individuals. I would go and talk to schools, work with like different guidance counselors, where I was talking to students to kind of let them know about my story. I'm very open about my story, but then also kind of being something that could be a glimpse for them of being a role model, that if they didn't have a role model, that maybe I could be that one thing that like sparked them to make the next right move, and having it be the next best move for them to have the best life that they can. So if I'm just a little sand pebble in that, I'm very much, that's my reason for it.
So these speaking engagements that you said you would, you would go and do, was this the avenue that led you to the nonprofit world?
Oh, I don't think the speaking engagement part is what led me to nonprofit. I think what led me into nonprofits is that I was that kid who needed the assistance. I needed what the nonprofits were offering, and I didn't have it given to me because there may not have been those resources, or maybe there wasn't enough education around it. And for me, I think a lot of it now is making sure that the resources that are out there are available for people who, like me, needed it and struggled with it. So for me, my reason of being in any type of nonprofit, if it's animals or not, is being that resource for someone who was like me.
Have you come across someone in your life that has this, oh yes, Jesse, I did not know this, thank you, and kind of had that testimonial moment there?
Yes, yeah. There's actually quite a few people who they might know that there are different services that are out there, but they might not know specifically which ones. So a lot of times it's just giving them a little bit more of the guidance as to which ones are the better places to go to, or what their first steps should be. So they might know that there's stuff out there. It's just a matter of what step to take, when to take it, who to contact. So a lot of times it's just guidance.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Guidance. That's such a small word, but it's heavy, right?
Yeah.
Lack of guidance. Now you're pointing people in the direction of guidance. That's a huge shift.
Yeah.
Have you ever had those moments where it's like you look in the mirror and you're like, Jesse, we did it?
Honestly, all the time. I do, because if I don't, then I lose it, is how I look at it. Is if I don't fulfill that part of what my like life has been to strive to be the next and do the next, then I'm going to lose it. So I'm constantly
Lose
saying
what?
me, my who I am, who I continue to strive to be. So and maybe that's that perfectionism coming in. It's that I'm trying to be the perfect version of me. Um so I feel like if I just don't continue to say that to myself, then it just goes away. So I just constantly am saying it.
So you're celebrating the victory
Mhm.
in the moment.
Mhm.
Do you think women have a hard time doing that?
Yes.
Why?
Because I think it can be like frowned upon. It could be conceited. It could be many of those things. But I think I don't think we do enough of it. And I think, man or woman, celebrate the wins, take the losses and get rid of it and build upon it.
So you're looking in the mirror and you're like, yep, good day. We did it. We had a good day today.
Mhm.
Or yes, we achieved this. Or, through the nonprofit,
Mhm.
we hit this goal. We got this, accomplished,
Mhm.
whatever that is. Is there ever a time where you're looking in the mirror and you're kind of down in the dumps about like, oh, I was so close, but no, we didn't do that.
Mhm.
Is that okay to do too?
Yeah, because that's life and reality, because not everything's just going to be given. And you might work really hard for something and it doesn't turn out the way that you think it's going to be. So I've had a lot of letdowns, a lot of things that I've worked really hard for, but then had to be like, okay, like it didn't work out. I got to accept it. And how can I learn from it and move on? And it's very tough if it's something that's work related, if it's personal related. But I always think that that's something that then will then make you stronger if you are able to get beyond it. That's the hard part is, I don't want to say wallow because I hate to say it that way, but if you just like stick into that negativity, you're just going to keep the negativity. So I try to just acknowledge it and then be done with it. Easier said than done.
Oh yeah, for sure. For sure. That whole sentence was easier said than done,
Yeah.
right? Isn't it a misery enjoys company,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
We don't want that company.
Yeah.
No.
No one likes it, but that's also just life, you know?
It's
I worked
just
really
life.
hard on a grant the other day and we didn't get it. Like, oh, no. But yeah.
But what do you learn from failure?
That I'm really not perfect.
Said the perfectionist.
I know,
God, I
right?
hope your husband's listening.
I know. I literally told him earlier, I was like, I'm going to be talking about some like deep stuff. So I'll make sure to play this.
Yeah,
play
we
this
need to
for
minute
him.
mark that and then play it back now on repeat. Okay, so here we are with Jesse Fletcher, and the self-proclaimed perfectionist just said that she's not perfect. So when women are working towards perfection, do you think that that is something that we need to be perfect for ourselves, or are we trying to be perfect for other people?
I think both. I think depending on the situation, I think it's very much situational based. For me, I strive to be perfect for me because I knew what it was like to not be perfect. So for me, it's always this, let's try to be the best that I can be. So for me, it's a personal thing. And then I look at it as outsiders looking in, because if I'm not portraying that, if I'm not professing that, then they're seeing my flaws. So, and that's hard because I know that I have flaws. I have plenty of flaws. And I so desperately would love to be a perfectionist. Like I would love to be perfect, and it's just not that. And that's okay.
Okay, so here's a two-part tough one. One is there ever a time where you can turn it off? Like, okay, I'm done. This is my comfort zone here. Do you ever just turn it off?
Yes.
When?
Usually it's at the end of the day and it's wind down time. It's usually, when you turn a corner and you can just kind of let your face and everything just kind of go. I think it's you need the downtime. And I think by surrounding yourself with people who understand that you need the downtime, but also they probably need the downtime too. So being there for each other. Even last night, I was with a friend of mine at an event, and we both looked at each other and we were like, "You good?" Like, all right, it's time. We're good. We're tired. We're spent.
Mhm.
And that was when we were like, okay, it's done.
But you acknowledged it.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah.
So being in the nonprofit world is a high stress thing. Like, no matter, I mean, being a working woman, being a woman is a stressful thing at times, right? But specifically in the nonprofit world, a lot of this like sits on your shoulders, right? How is it that you can, de-stress? What are some tips for that woman who's listening and who's like, whew, I may not be the boss, but my position here this is some heavy stuff I'm going through. And they don't know how to unwind. They don't know how to turn it off. What advice would you give her?
Always know where the ability to say no is, because I spent so many years saying yes to everything and saying yes to things that I wanted to do, saying yes to things that I didn't want to do, but felt that I needed to do it. But then recognizing that it's okay to say no to some things and to have that downtime and not do things that you don't want to do, and that's okay. So I guess my advice there would be to let someone just kind of look at the pros and cons. Is it going to benefit you? Is it going to benefit someone else? And figure out if it makes sense at that moment. And if it doesn't, say no. Maybe it's something that comes later, but if it's not right, just say no.
So sometimes when you say no, do you feel better or do you feel worse after saying no?
Depends on the situation. I like to try and make it where I'm saying no and I'm sticking to it. So I'm going to feel good about it. And you feel bad when you're like, no, I can't do that. Or no, I can't be a part of that. But then you're like, oh, I'm so glad I didn't do that. So it just kind of varies. But I try to be pretty strict in my decisions.
I can see that.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Oh, I'm glad you told me yes.
Yours was an easy yes.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
I'm excited you're on. I'm excited you're here and able to share pieces of wisdom. There's so many different avenues that we've discussed before. But I want to circle back, and I'm going to look at my notes here. When we're talking about your family and a family dynamic, we have women who are listening and who have thought, I want to be a mom, but this is the road that I'm on right now. Or, maybe this isn't the right time, or my time will come. I'm going to be patient. Did you ever have any of those questions?
All the time.
Really?
Yeah.
Unpack that.
Yeah. I mean, I would say from the time that I was married the first time and wanting kids to today, I think that's just, family has always been something that I've always wanted and strived for. So I think for me, it's always been something that's on my mind all the time. And there's often there have been times where I thought like, okay, do I have a family if I don't really have a family? And I ran across, and I do have an amazing family that who've accepted me in. But it makes me think of a quote, and I never say the quote right, but it's from Maya Angelou, and it's basically about, you don't have to have your family be your blood family. It's the people who are in your life and who accept you for who you are and what you do and all of that. And the quote is basically, a beautifully put way of saying like, it's who you have in your life and who accept you for you. And I feel like me not being a mom allowed me to have other pleasures and allowed me to have other things to look forward to. And yeah, I mean, others probably struggle harder than I did. And, patience, it's a lot.
It sounds like it.
Yeah.
It sounds like it, but it also sounds like, finding your people, right? There's so many times where we're like, this person, this, and from woman to woman, it's like, I have a friend from college who I don't have sisters, but that's my sister.
Mhm.
Like, that's my girl.
Mhm.
But are we family? Technically, no.
Right.
But
she is.
She is.
Yeah.
That, you know what? I would trust her in a trust fall.
I love all my people, but I do not trust them for that act right there. I trust them for other things. Maybe not so much that.
It sounds like we need to have a workshop.
Oh gosh, what not to do in a trust fall?
Fall.
Yeah, fall. Yeah,
fall forward.
Yeah.
So who is it that you're just like, this is someone in my life, outside of your family,
Mhm.
who has become family for you?
I think honestly, I surround myself with different people, different aspects of people in my life, and it might be someone who I see on a regular basis or someone I see, through a text message. But I've got, the Dawns, the Beths, the Michelles. I mean, all over the place, and local and all over the world. I have a friend who we don't get to talk that often, but she lives in Chile, and we call each other twins because we had similar jobs and did similar things, and it's like soul sister kind of thing. So every time that we do message each other, it's like, hey twin, how's it going? Haven't heard from you in a while. So I think it just kind of varies. But I surround myself with those sisters, and you go through friends. You're going to go through phases of, different people in your life at different times of your life. And the people who, used to be those people, those sisters, those it's, 10 years, 20 years ago are not in my life anymore. And I'm going to continue to have different sisters in different phases throughout my life. And then that just means that I've had a full life of lots of people.
So when we have a sister in our life that kind of just fades out, is that okay?
It sucks. Like, to be real, like it sucks very much. And yeah, it's okay because we change, things change, people change, environments change, lives change, and it's tough, and um, it's like a death almost, like you're mourning, but it's okay, and you figure out what your next steps are, and you figure out who then to fill your bucket of people, and yeah, but it's okay.
So that kind of goes back to discomfort through growth.
Mm-hmm.
And, we're having the privilege to experience friendship,
Mm-hmm.
but then we grow up, even in our 40s, we're still growing up.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to ask you the question, what is a piece of advice you would give to a woman in the Great Lakes Bay region?
Ooh, be a leader worth following. I heard that when I was younger, and that has always stuck with me. And the fact that it was, I didn't have that leader worth following. So if I'm able to be that leader for someone and have them follow me to better themselves, then you are a leader worth following.
Wow. Be a leader worth following.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you.
Thank
you so much for sharing. Thank you for everyone who has tuned in. And that was Jesse Fletcher. And that's what she said.